To import the dataset, I'm gonna use pandas. So dataset train is equal to pd dot read CSV. So read CSV is the function which you can use. So as you can see, if you write dot here, and these are the different commands which you can use here. If your file is in JSON format, then you can write read JSON. If your file is in Excel format, then write read underscore Excel. If your file is in CSV format, then write read underscore CSV. So you have multiple options to read file. Don't worry if your file is in JSON format or Excel format. So you have options here. So these are the different options. For SQL dataset, you can write read underscore SQL. For any SQL, for pickle file, you can write read underscore pickle. So there are multiple options here to read any CSV file. Now after writing the syntax, write the name of the file which you want to import. So the file is apple underscore train.csv. Run this cell and the dataset is imported. Now to see what are the different contents in your dataset, to visualize that, you can use train.head method. But before that, we will check the shape of the dataset. Shape of dataset means the number of rows and columns which are there in your dataset. So take the name of the object which is dataset underscore train and use shape method to check the shape of your dataset. In our dataset, there are 1510 rows and 13 columns. So that is called as shape of the dataset, that is number of rows and number of columns. So this dataset is enough to train our model, basic model. You can use big dataset as well to make good predictions. To train your model better, you can use big datasets. But the thing is, if your configuration is good, if your computer configuration is good, then you can go for big dataset. Otherwise, it consumes RAM and your system might hang. So if you are using big dataset, make sure that your system is of high configuration. And if your system is of low configuration and if you are using big dataset, then definitely it will consume RAM and your system will hang. So that is the problem, or it will take good amount of time to train the model. After this, let's check our dataset. Now to visualize your dataset here in this notebook, if you want to see your dataset, you can use .head method. This .head method returns the top 5 rows of your dataset. If you want to return more rows, then you have to explicitly write here the number. Run. And this is your dataset which contains all the details. This is a date, open, high, low, close, volume, ex-dividend, split ratio, adjacent open, adjacent high, adjacent low. So this is your dataset. And these are the top 50 rows, first 50 rows. Now the next step is, it's very important to check if is there any null values or any values in your dataset, because that step is very important in data pre-processing. You have to check the number of null values and any values. So based on that, we can take further action. If there are more number of null values, then there are certain decisions you can take. You can either drop them, you can impute, you can perform imputation techniques. So first let's check what are the null values and any values in this dataset, because this null values and any values will create a huge impact on the model. If there are big number of null values, then there is it will create a problem. Now let's check that. So dataset train dot is any function will check the any values in the dataset. So let's run this. Now here you can see that it's false, false, false is given. Now instead of just checking out all the false values, write sum to get a sum. So here is the sum. So as you can see that there are 0 any values. So there are no any values, which is a very good sign. And the data type of all of these column is integer 64. The next is we will check the null values in this data set. So is null function is used to check. And again, I will write here sum to get the sum of all the null values for each and every column. So these are the null values. Again, there are no null values in the data set, which is again a very good sign. So our data set contains no NA values and no null values. So this data set is pretty much good. There are no null values, no NA values. Now, so we don't need to drop any column. So we don't need to perform any imputation. We don't need to drop any rows here. We can move to our next step, which is checking the distribution of the data, doing data visualization. Let's do exploratory data analysis now. Let's explore this data.